Hey guys, welcome back. Hey, so recently I posted a video on my YouTube channel about Steve Reeves and um, steroids, which I don't normally like to do. I think most of us understand that that era, the golden era, etc., was really drug-free physical culture, and I don't even really like to comment on it much. But Dave Dupree, who most of you probably know, if not, you should definitely check out Dave Dupree, one of the great unsung bodybuilders from the past. I'm just reading off of a website. He's won more than 30 titles, including Mr. Western America, Mr. International, and Mr. Americana. Well, Dave was a huge fan of Steve Reeves. He trained at Yorick's Gym in Oakland, and Dave has said he knows more about Steve Reeves' training and what Steve did than probably anybody alive, and I'm inclined to believe him. So Dave posted on my YouTube community page a day or two or three ago, "You internet people are ignorant about physical culture and real bodybuilding. You just can't compare these chemical bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger and his sycophants to physical culture." And so I heartily agreed with him. And he says it's called genetics. Steve always said that he was built like his father. His father, Lester, never worked out with barbells, but through heavy manual labor, he developed his body naturally. A lot of people in this day and age, this is me talking now, disregard that part, the heavy manual labor, when they're in their early teens, mid-teens, latter teens. You know, Steve worked at a feed store loading pallets. He also gathered scrap metal. And when he was in his senior year of high school, he worked half a day. He only went to school half a day, and then he worked half a day at the feed store doing heavy manual labor, bags of feed, pallets, things like that. And then he went to Yarick's Gym at 5:30-ish until 7:30 and worked out. So until you've done that, um, you probably should not judge other people. And now let's get back to what Dave was saying. On a personal note, I'm built like my father, and he was very strong too, like Steve Reeves. I could just look at a barbell and my muscles would respond. Steve was a model and nothing more. I used to get angry when Steve's contemporaries would criticize his lack of athletic ability. Armand Tanny wrote Steve's athletic about Steve excuse me, about Steve's athletic ability and said that Steve had poor eyesight, which few people knew, but he could outrun all of us. And I've read that too. And I've also read that Steve was very fast in the 1 mile, and I believe his time was 5:01, which is moving at an ungodly speed. So, if you read A Moment in Time, the Steve Reeves story by George Helmer, George talks a lot that when Steve was in the military, he would pick up a guy or guys and put them on his back and run. Who does that? When's the last time you saw that? So we're very quick to judge, people that are unique like that. People like Steve Reeves, people like Dave Dupree, people, and there's Dave Dupree, people like David Goggins. If you don't know who David Goggins is, then you can Google him, but most of you probably do if you're into physical fitness and just the mental aspect. This guy comments on David Goggins. I don't know his name, I apologize, but he says, "Just a little insight in what it's really like to live with David Goggins. I laugh when I see the comments that suggest his 1-minute videos are staged. I have logged thousands of miles alongside him and filmed almost every video while on foot, so my body can attest to the fact that every single video is legit and merely a 1-minute snapshot of what each and every day brings. The video was captured as I was crewing him on a 100-mile ruck that at 10 a.m. was just an idea that came to fruition just a few hours later." So that tells me that they woke up one morning, he and his buddy here who films David Goggins videos for Instagram, etc. What should we do today, Dave? Well, let's do a 100-mile ruck run with a pack on your back. Some people are not meant to be understood, and David Goggins is one of them, and Steve is one of them as well, and Dave Dupree. He is one of one. There you go. That's my main takeaway in this video. Steve Reeves is one of one. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to grow and get better every day just by being in his presence. So does David Goggins use steroids? No, of course not. How about this guy? I happened upon him on social media, Johnny the Great One, Duh Beast, Duh 1998 Beast. This caught my attention because, I love athletics. And what this guy is doing right here is he's jumping up to an 11-foot bar. And this is just a screenshot of that. So now he jumped up to that 11-foot bar, and you can see behind him, here's a guy just standing there. And then he does pull-ups, and then he ladders himself down. And the guy behind over here says, "You a monster, bruh." And then the two of them talk when this guy drops down. And is that steroids? I mean, does he look like a steroid user to you? Maybe he's just built different. And, until hang around these people, spend time around these people, you have no idea, what they're doing. Maybe they're just working hard. Maybe they're just, eating very clean. Maybe they are genetic marvels. These people do exist. Gene Hackenschmidt, here's pictures of Gene Hackenschmidt. In his second year lifting weights, and Gene Hackenschmidt was born in 1878. They sure didn't have steroids around in 1878. Hackenschmidt shocked the crowd at a local club by pressing 214 pounds using one arm over his head. And that was in his second year of lifting weights. He lifted the weight off the floor, curled it to his shoulder, and completed the lift by pressing it overhead. I'm sure a lot of you know Gene Hackenschmidt. If you don't, you should study him. Here's some other lifts. 251-pound jerk, 256-pound snatch, one-arm press. So he ended up beating his one-arm press, which was 214, and then as he worked at it, he was able to do 269 pounds. Did he use steroids? Or maybe he just worked hard and had a positive mindset and walked to the beat of his own drummer, and he was one of one. George Hackenschmidt. There's George Hackenschmidt when he was younger. He looks fantastic. You think he was using steroids at that time? He was born in 1878. This had to be around the early 1900s when this was taken. And then lastly, James Harrison, the NFL former Pittsburgh Steelers defensive end or linebacker. He was number 99. When he played, former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker James Harrison was one of the fiercest, most angry players on the field, and his off-the-field exploits in the weight room were just as legendary. There have been few players as strong as him before him or after, and so he was drug tested, and I realize drug testing sometimes is a joke, but what I really thought was interesting were the comments talking about James Harrison. It says, "It's really sad and disgusting when people would rather speculate and start rumors that James Harrison may have done something when all the facts, evidence, and tests say he didn't. Some people just have rare athletic gifts, skills, mental drive, and work habits that just make them better than everybody else." Does that offend me? No, absolutely. I love it. That encourages me. That motivates me. That says to me, "Hey, Scott, work harder, and you might be able to do stuff like that too. You might be able to reach your full potential." How did Brady play and dominate for so long? How did Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Messi, Gretzky all dominate and make it look easy for so long? And the next guy, Steve, says, "What a useless article." Coincidence that his name is Steve? What a useless article. The guy passed every test and you're still trying to pin performance enhancement drugs on him. The next guy says, "It's pretty unprofessional of you jokers to speculate that Harrison's greatness was impugned by your steroid allegations." I don't know how to pronounce that word. "You have zero evidence to support it. I hope he sues you for defamation." Then Zoomer says, "Or it could be that he went back to the gym right after every game and practiced, because that's just what he did." On another note, Nolan Ryan was famous for going into the gym, the pitcher for the Texas Rangers, etc., and working out with weights after practice by himself. So don't underestimate yourself. Don't shortchange yourself until you've tried some of these techniques, the heavy manual physical labor in your teens. You can't discount these people's their accomplishments. Or it could be that I read that one. "I live near him in Pittsburgh. Harrison is at the gym at all the time, and it isn't one particular gym. He literally goes to all of them. He's a beast and one of the best to ever play the game. A few players know how to let their work speak for itself, never to be forgotten, while a large number of players come and go into oblivion unnoticed. Sadly, people don't put much thought before judging. Believe he not only worked out, but he was a serious student of the body." Sound familiar? Sound like Steve Reeves? Sound like Dave Dupree? Sound like George Hackenschmidt? "And proper strength training. Most think he just walked into the weight room and started lifting. Instead, he learned how to work out and even hired his own personal trainers. Most don't realize that one could work out every day and not even touch the same muscle group for several days, therefore allowing muscle groups to develop and heal." Well, there you go. What do you guys think about that? I get tired of the steroid use regarding Steve. In fact, I just delete a lot of the comments. Sometimes I'll leave them up, but I don't have the patience. So unless you guys actually have video or pictures, or you can tell me like George Eiferman, or Dave Dupree, somebody that's alive like Dave Dupree, um, then just keep it to yourself, because it's just speculation and I'll never ever believe it. You can look at Steve's physique and tell. Hey, don't forget about the Steve Reeves Retreat, a Golden Era gathering, May 16th through May 18th, limited to 10. And the link to that, if you know what I'm talking about, will be under the video. All right, guys, take care.